Switzerland versus Colombia highlights a match that went 120 minutes without a single goal. A game where both teams stood like defensive walls. And in the end, everything was decided from the penalty spot. Switzerland versus Colombia became one of the most nerve-wracking matches of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, where only inches and seconds determined who would advance to the quarterfinals to face Argentina and Lionel Messi. When the match kicked off in Vancouver, the contrast in the two teams' approaches was immediately clear. Colombia made the brighter start, controlling possession for long stretches, but they struggled to turn their attacking moves into clear-cut scoring opportunities. In the 20th minute, Gustavo Puerta unleashed a powerful strike from outside the penalty area, but Switzerland goalkeeper Gregor Kobel produced a spectacular diving save to his right. It was the first major moment of the match, and Kobel made it clear that he was ready to become the hero of the night. Switzerland responded in the 28th minute when Fabian Rieder found himself with their first big opportunity, but Colombia goalkeeper Camilo Vargas was equally impressive, making an excellent save to keep the score level. As the game progressed, it evolved into a tactical battle, with neither side willing to take unnecessary risks. By halftime, the two teams had managed only 3 shots on target combined, perfectly illustrating just how tight and cautious the contest had become. In the 49th minute, Switzerland appealed for a penalty after Dan Doy appeared to be fouled inside the box, but the referee waved play on. It was a frustrating moment for the Swiss, as a penalty at that stage could have completely changed the direction of the match. After that, the game continued in much the same way. Both teams fought hard for possession, but the lack of quality in the final third remained obvious. As the second half wore on, both managers turned to their benches, hoping fresh legs would provide the breakthrough. But Switzerland still couldn't create a clear-cut chance, and Colombia failed to convert their superior possession into goals. After 90 minutes, the scoreboard still showed 0-0. The match headed into extra time, with the tension reaching another level, as every player knew that one small mistake could end their World Cup journey. Colombia created the best chance of extra time in the 100th minute. Jan Lacumi met a perfectly delivered corner with a powerful header that crashed against the crossbar before bouncing away. It was agonizingly close to giving Colombia the lead. Moments later, Davinson tried his luck with a long-range effort aimed at the bottom right corner, but Gregor Kobel once again came to Switzerland's rescue with another outstanding save. It was Colombia's most dangerous spell of the entire match, yet fortune refused to smile upon them. Switzerland finally threatened in the 105th minute when Zeki Mduni was presented with a golden opportunity, but Camilo Vargas stood tall to deny him. By now, both goalkeepers had become the true stars of the match, producing one save after another to keep their teams alive. In the 116th minute, Colombia were handed another glorious opportunity after a major mistake by the Swiss defense left Campos with a clear sight of goal. However, he failed to hit the target, wasting perhaps the best chance of the match. After 120 exhausting minutes, the score remained 0-0. Everything would now be decided by a penalty shootout, where nerves, composure, and technique would determine who stayed alive in the tournament. The entire stadium fell silent as both teams gathered at midfield and prepared for the decisive shootout. Switzerland struck first through Granit Xhaka, who confidently converted his penalty. Colombia responded immediately, as Juan Quintero calmly found the net. The scores remained level, with neither team showing signs of cracking under the immense pressure. Zeki Mduni also converted his penalty for Switzerland. Then came the first major turning point. Davinson Sanchez stepped up for Colombia, but his effort struck the crossbar and bounced away from goal. It was a massive blow to the Colombian side. However, Switzerland immediately gave Colombia hope again when Manuel Akanji also missed his penalty. The shootout was level once more in terms of missed attempts. Davinson Campos calmly scored Colombia's next penalty, and Switzerland's Cedric Itten responded with remarkable composure, placing his effort straight down the middle to make it 3-2 in Switzerland's favor. Then came perhaps the most dramatic moment of the entire shootout. Colombia's Cucho Hernandez struck his penalty powerfully toward the left side of the goal, but Gregor Kobel reacted brilliantly, diving to his right to produce a sensational save. It was a save that could define Switzerland's World Cup campaign. Colombia's Luis Diaz then stepped forward with a long, stuttering run-up before calmly placing his penalty into the bottom left corner, sending Kobel the wrong way and leveling the score once again. Everything now rested on Switzerland's final penalty taker. Ruben Vargas walked toward the penalty spot with the hopes of an entire nation resting on his shoulders. He kept his composure and calmly tucked his shot into the bottom left corner, beyond the reach of Camilo Vargas.
Goal.
Switzerland had won the penalty shootout 4-3. Their players erupted in celebration as they secured their place in the FIFA World Cup quarterfinals for the first time since 1954. For Colombia, it was heartbreaking. Their expected goals, XG, total of 1.03 compared to Switzerland's 0.35 showed that they had created the better chances throughout the match, but they simply failed to convert them when it mattered most. It was another painful penalty shootout defeat for Colombia, following their elimination against England on penalties in the 2018 World Cup round of 16. For Switzerland, this was a historic victory. They proved once again that football is not always won by dazzling attacking play. Sometimes, discipline, patience, organization, and the brilliance of a goalkeeper are enough to carry a team through. Now Switzerland will travel to Kansas City, where they will face Argentina and Lionel Messi in the quarterfinals. It will be an enormous challenge. But after surviving one of the toughest and most dramatic matches of the tournament, Switzerland will enter that game believing they have nothing to fear. This match also reminded the football world that every World Cup game writes its own unique story. Sometimes there is a flood of goals. Sometimes there are 120 minutes of silence before everything is decided from 12 yards. Colombia leave the tournament with their heads held high despite the heartbreak, having shown they belonged on football's biggest stage. Switzerland, meanwhile, marches on, ready for the biggest test that awaits them in the quarterfinals.